If you've ever sat in a meeting and felt unprepared when leadership asked about numbers, or you felt that your HR updates didn't sound as strong as other department leaders, you are not alone. Most HR managers are doing the work, but struggle to translate it into measures that actually show impact. And when your work is not measurable, it gets overlooked. Today, I'm going to walk you through 9 HR metrics that instantly elevate your credibility and help you build influence and have decisions be made at a higher level. After more than a decade in HR and now leading and coaching HR leaders, I've seen the same truth over and over again. HR managers who track the right metrics get invited to the bigger conversations that shape the business. Your metrics tell your story. They're how you demonstrate your effectiveness, your forward looking mindset, and your strategic thinking, all without having to convince anyone. If you want leadership to see you as a partner and not just support, this is where that shift starts. Metric number 1, time to fill. This is the date the offer was accepted minus the date the job was posted. On the surface, this metric might sound simple, but I've talked to countless HR managers, department leaders, departments of one, people leading HR for the first time or for the last 10 years. And not everyone is tracking this metric. So this metric is measuring, again, how long is it taking for you to fill roles. So you might say, well, why is this valuable? Well, this is valuable because it helps you to show yourself that you're not just doing the work. I talk about the proficiency pyramid all the time. You're not just doing the work and putting the processes together. You're tracking your success. So you know that on a role that might take you on average 30 days to fill, if it's taking you all of a sudden 60 days to fill, what's the issue? What is the new bottleneck? Or what's the challenge that you're facing? You need to understand what your normal is and also what the benchmark is so that you can decide whether what you're doing is effective or not. It's one thing to feel like we're doing all the right things, we're going through our process the right way, we're having the right conversations, but without tracking our numbers, without tracking even something as simple as your time to fill, you don't know for sure if what you're doing is working. So tracking your time to fill helps you to be able to have that progress report for yourself at the end of the year or at the end of the quarter or into your next planning session where you're talking to your leaders and you're talking to your board maybe or you're talking to your senior leadership team and you're saying, hey, our time to fill on average has decreased from 42 days to 28 days because of these new efficiencies we put in place. Maybe you've streamlined your recruiting. Maybe you've cut out some redundant questions in your application process. Maybe you've started fast tracking applicants to make sure that they can get in front of you quicker. So there are so many things. There's no one way to do this, but the goal here is to show that you're taking consideration around the work that you're doing, not just doing it like a machine or a robot, but you're truly looking at how effective and how efficient are your processes. If you want leadership to see you as a partner and not just support, this is where that shift starts. So these are in no particular order, but we're starting with metric number 1. Metric number 2, quality of hire. So just like there's no one way to decide how you want to improve your time to fill, there's no one way to measure the quality of hire. I've seen it done a million different ways. In my day job, the way that I measure quality of hire, I look at retention at 90 days and retention at a year because that tells me that's something easy I can track because it's database. Either they were here 90 days later or they weren't. Either they were here a year later or they weren't. But you can also measure by hiring manager effectiveness or the number of errors in their first year or the number of write-ups in their first year. There's so many ways you can measure the quality of the hire. But if you do it that way, then assign a number to it so you can really measure it over time and be consistent. Write that down and make sure you can track yourself against yourself. One of the most visible parts of what we do in HR is hiring. Hiring and firing is what they say. But again, just because you hire someone does not mean that was a good hire. Doesn't mean it was a quality hire. Doesn't mean you would do it all over again if you could go back and check behind yourself. So you need to measure your effectiveness of your hiring. So not only do you want to look at how quickly are you hiring people, because you could hire someone in 15 days, but if they're gone in 30 days, then was that a good hire or not? So again, in addition to time to fill, track your quality of your hire. However you decide to do it. Again, I do 90 days and a year and seeing how that improves over time. Maybe 1 year we our 90-day retention far exceeded our 1 year retention. Then you gotta look and say, okay, well, why are people leaving? Are they leaving voluntarily or involuntarily? That's a completely different metric. But again, the goal here is to think about why do you need to measure this? For example, you're hiring all the time, right? You've got positions open, or maybe you're not, and you don't even know how well you're doing it. But the quality of a hire is a signal. It's signaling, culture fit. It's signaling long-term performance. It's signaling stability in that department, stability in your workforce. So again, it's not just how many people have we hired, or how many people have we brought on board. That's great. That's foundational. But how well are you doing it? And without understanding that deeply, if that's when it's going to be hard for you to have those big conversations with your leaders, your peer leaders, and even your CEO to say how well you're doing it. Think about it this way: you might be a department of one right now. I was department of one for like, gosh, 5 or 6 years before growing my team. And one of the ways that I was able to grow my team was to talk about, okay, I've been doing all this on my own, and the recruiting has now ticked up. Our headcount has been now increased. It's taking us longer to get this done. If I get some help, then I can get this number down. We can get more people in and be just as successful. But I need more hands. I can't do it all because I'm one person. But without tracking your success, there's no way for you to go back to the powers that be, to your CEO, to say, okay, well, I need some support or I need some help in this area, because you are just basing it off of feelings. And feelings don't move the needle. Numbers move the needle. Metric number 3, turnover rate, especially credible turnover. Turnover is such a big deal because it affects so many things: the morale of the team, the cost that goes into having to replace that person. I think the latest metrics like 2 times that person's salary is what it's going to cost to replace them. The stability of the team, and then also leadership confidence. What's the issue of the team? Is it a leadership issue? Is it a department issue? All those things. So turnover is really, really important, but you want to track it successfully. So, for example, if you've got a turnover rate that seems to be increasing, look into your numbers. Is it coming from one department? Is one department consistently having a lot of turnover? One area, one leader, no matter where they lead, the same type of issue follows them? Unless you're looking at your numbers and you're diving into it, you're slicing it and dicing it to truly understand it, you won't know where your issues are. You won't know what needs to be fixed. I said before to look at regrettable turnover, because not all turnover is bad. Some turnover is expected. So you're going to have voluntary separations and involuntary separations. Involuntary separations or voluntary could be regrettable, but when you're looking at that, you want to look at your high performers, your people who are at the top of the pool when it comes to their performance and their behavior. Are you losing those employees? That will be considered regrettable, whether they're involuntarily terminated or whether they are voluntarily resigning. But even if you want to get outside of the performance, maybe you're not tracking your performance in that way, a great place to start is look at people who are leaving your company voluntarily, meaning they've decided to resign and go somewhere else for whatever reason, or involuntarily, meaning you've had to let them go for performance issues, for behavior issues. Track that difference. Where's the majority of your separation? Are most people leaving your company, or are you letting most more people go? No one way is wrong, but you need to be able to explain it. For example, for a long time in my day job, we were losing most of our people. They were leaving to go to another job because we didn't have anything in place for for our employees to feel like they had a future, where it was really more, they were waiting for people to retire that weren't retiring. But now, fast forward, gosh, 10, 15 years, now we barely lose employees for that reason, because we created career paths. We created leadership development. We created opportunities for people to truly have a career. We talk about our career. We talk about our opportunities to advance, not just in theory, but we've got success story after success story after success story. But there's that program, those programs would not have been built had I not been tracking those numbers to know why people were leaving our company and what can we do about it. Again, if someone is moving because of a family reason, maybe if someone got a job somewhere else, maybe someone's going into the military, maybe someone's retiring, those things are kind of out of our hand. But if you've got a lot of people leaving your company to go to another company, that is 100% preventable. You can do something about that by changing the working conditions, changing the structure, changing the way you measure your people's success, change the way you hold people accountable. There's so many ways you could do it, but you got to know your people and know the people that you serve and know the teams that you lead to make those shifts happen. So comparing that regular turnover to regrettable turnover, you might go to your senior leaders and say, "Hey, we had a 14% turnover this year, but only 3% of that was regrettable. So that means we're keeping our high performers in place, or that means we're able to retain the right employees, or retaining the employees they want to keep on board." It helps to show your strategic insight that you're not just presenting numbers for numbers' sake. You truly understand what's going on in your company. Metric number 4, retention rate. Some of these things sound counterintuitive, but just like not all turnover is bad, not all retention is good. We don't want a workforce that is 100% retained or 100% stable. Because what does that mean? That means that you've got a group think. You got people who are not leaving. You got people who either can't leave or won't leave, or has no desire to leave. You're not getting new ideas likely, and it reflects a stunted and stagnant workforce. So some movement in and out of your company is healthy. I want you to accept that. Some of your movement inside of your company, inside and outside of your company, is healthy. But with that being said, you want to track how often are you having to hire people? Are you losing people for the wrong reasons? But also, how stable is your workforce? How often are you retaining your employees? Generally speaking, 75% to 85% is a great stability rate. That means you've got people coming in and out at a healthy rate. You're not losing too many people where you've got to train people all over again, but you're not keeping too many people where you're stagnating your own growth. So again, knowing your numbers is so important because when you're having those conversations with your leaders, you're talking about maybe it's time or not time for a new initiative or a new program. Where is your workforce? Is your workforce stable enough to handle that kind of shift or handle that kind of change? I think so often we think about all the things around us and we think things are outside of our control. I'm a big believer in controlling what you can control, controlling your measurables, measuring what you can as well. And so it's really important to have a finger on the pulse of what you lead. Because again, going back to the very first point, in several videos, I've talked about leading yourself first. This is all included. When you're leading yourself first, you're leading things that are in your control. So before we start thinking about all the things that that department needs to do that will make us better, and all things that this manager needs to do, what is going on in your department that you need a better grip on? What's going on in your department that you need to understand better, that you need to control better, you need to measure better so you can present better. Next metric, training completion and skill development. It's an unfortunate fact that some leaders underestimate the impact of training. They see it as a necessary evil. So, beyond just reporting on completion rates, you want to look at the impact of the work that's being done. For example, every training that's being done, whether it's a compliance based training or something that's more technical, you want to see if there's a measurable impact to that training being done. For example, if you put out a training that's on error reduction, I'm just going to make something up, error reduction, then you should see in 90 days to 60 to 6 months to a year a shift in the positive direction in that issue being mitigated, being reduced. So you want to make sure you're able to combine or to pair, like, what is this training supposed to do, and did this training do it? Otherwise, it's going to be relegated to just being busy work. No one's going to like it. No one's going to understand it. Compliance training is compliance training. You can't get around that. So that's more understood. But for those things that might be more soft skill, maybe you're trying to improve your leadership skills, maybe you're trying to equip your managers to be more successful, maybe you're trying to get more consistent with your coaching and with your development of your people. What are the objectives of those trainings, and how can you measure where those things have been improved? So you can quantify this in a few different ways, looking at completion rates or pre and post tests or application of the skills at 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, a year in. There's so many ways to look at it, but the goal here is to get very intentional with measuring this so you can report on the success or the opportunities in the future. Next metric, employee relations trends. Now, why is this important? Employee relations data trends show patterns in so many things: leadership effectiveness, culture issues, root causes to other issues. Think about it this way: we see so many things, we get complaints or grievances or employees complaining about this thing or the next thing. It's one thing to fix it and move on to the next thing. And I think that's so often what we do. We're fixers, we're doers, and so we want to get it done and get it off our plate, right? But how often are you stopping and measuring and tracking? Okay, where are these issues coming from? Is this always the same person? Is this always the same department? How quickly are we getting these things filled? How quickly are we getting these things fixed? Quantifying this can be done in a few different ways. You get the percentage of cases per month that are handled, the type of cases you're dealing with, whether it's attendance or performance or conflict, the number of cases that are resolved without issue, without having to change policy, repeat offenders. Again, there are so many things to look at. There's no one way, but I want to say all this to give you like some ideas of where to start. The goal here is to look at not just doing HR, but truly leading HR. For example, you might say 70% of our cases last quarter were tied to one department, and that gives us clarity on where we need to support this department leader more effectively. But again, you wouldn't know that unless you're tracking it. And again, you don't want to go off a feeling. You don't want to go off that gut feeling. You got to have data support, especially when you're trying to do something different or you're trying to really shift behavior in a certain area. Another metric, one of my favorites right now, employee engagement indicators. Employee engagement is one of my favorite metrics to measure. Is the reason why I think employee engagement is so important is because I think so often people think about HR and they think that what we do is soft and fluffy and can't be measured because they think it's all about people and people being happy. And while the engagement and measuring people's sentiments is important, and I get what they're saying, what they fail to realize when they think about it that way and when they minimize it in that way is that the goal here is to keep our most important asset, our most valuable asset, which is our people, which is us included, our people, satisfied, engaged, retained, so we can do great work in the community. Whatever the mission of your organization is, you need people to get that mission accomplished. Otherwise, we'd be replaced by robots. And we're trying to avoid us all being replaced by robots, right? So the goal here is to keep your people engaged. And engagement looks different in many different departments and many different facets. But the goal here is to measure it successfully and measure it frequently. You can do that in a few different ways. You can do pulse surveys, whether it's monthly, weekly, quarterly, you know the tolerance of your people, but you can decide what works best for your organization. You can do an annual survey, whether you decide to do it in-house or outsource it, where you get gathering sentiments on a variety of categories from their opportunity that they feel they have to their acknowledgement they feel they have to work-life balance and the level of service for your company and the way that people are following policies and procedures. There are so many things you can measure when it comes to engagement. Like literally Google engagement survey, you will have no shortage of information that you'll have at your fingertips. The goal here is to be consistent. The last thing you want to do is start surveying your people and stop surveying your people all of a sudden. That sends the poor message. Like maybe they gave the wrong feedback, maybe they didn't like the feedback we were giving, or survey your people and then do nothing with the information. Again, we're not doing it for the sake of doing it. We're doing it to shift the narrative. We're doing it to know what our people are going through. We're doing it to know how we can improve the employee experience. That's what it's all about. When we're talking about turnover and separation and retention and engagement and employee relations issues, the goal is to improve the employee experience. And so how can we improve what we don't measure? You cannot measure. You cannot improve what you don't measure. So that's the goal here. Even things like your net promoter score, asking the question, how likely are you to recommend this place as a place to work? Looking to see, okay, well, what's the number today? Okay, wherever you start is where you start. That's your benchmark. Do it again and your next time. Are you improving or are you going in the wrong direction? Again, with every one of these metrics, wherever you start is wherever you start. Your goal is to either improve or maintain. You don't want to go backwards. You don't want to regress. And if you go backwards or you regress, you need to understand why and have a reason to explain it. But that's the whole point of measuring all of this that you're doing so you can understand it, so you can explain it, so you can present to the powers that be, maybe another alternative or an initiative you could do to help move the needle in the positive direction. When you talk about all these places who do like the top place to work and all those surveys, that's all great. But the experience of your employees is really what matters the most. So if your employees are leaving in droves and you don't understand why, you need to get to the bottom of that. Another one of my favorite metrics, internal mobility rate. I said before that for a while in my day job, we were losing a lot of employees because they were leaving to go to another company because they felt they had no future in our company. Now, today, we've had a lot of success stories. And so I can measure our internal mobility, our internal promotion rate. So I can tell the percentage of employees who have promoted up or have transferred up within our company. And I can track that over time to say, okay, we've promoted on average more people in 2025, in 2026, and beyond. We're this percentage of our employees, this percentage of our positions have been filled with internal candidates versus external candidates. That's a real data point that employees like to hear. Because one thing, if an employee is applying for a job at your company and they're not getting selected, they think that no one's getting selected. But even if they can see that, okay, well, no, while you might not have gotten selected, 40% of our internal role, 40% of our roles have been filled with other employees. That lets them realize, okay, well, hey, they are promoting some people. What did they do that I could do as well? It gives them a glimmer of hope to let them know that there is a place for them here as long as they're meeting the performance and behavior expectations. So the goal here is to create environments again for people to succeed, for people to feel that they got a part of it as well. The reason why this internal mobility metric is so important is because it directly leads people to think about your credibility, the department's credibility, also the business health and the organizational success because we're retaining that institutional knowledge. We're not always restarting, not always hiring from the outside all the time. We're helping people to see value in the company and helping people to stay aligned with our mission as well. And our next metric that you don't want to miss out, offer acceptance rate. One of the first metrics we talked about was time to fill. How you could take 45 days to hire a person, 60 days to hire a person, 10 days to hire a person. But what's your offer acceptance rate? Is it 100%? Is it 50%? Are you making offers to candidates and they're not accepting because maybe your pay is not competitive or your benefits aren't good enough or they have a better offer somewhere else? That's a really good thing to track. Not only for your own knowledge to know that you're again competitive with the market, but you need to present that and report that to your senior leaders so they understand not only is the work that's being done in the department, work that's being done in the company overall is mission aligned and so important. But people more than not accept our offers. 100% acceptance rate is not always possible, but if you have an offer acceptance rate that's 75%, maybe your goal should be to improve it to 80%, to 95%. The goal here is to not have a offer acceptance rate that's below 50% because you don't want people to continue to not accept your offers. Think about it. To get to the point where you're making an offer to someone, you've had to screen them, they've had to apply, you had to screen them, you had to talk to them, interview them. They've gotten all the way through the process. You make an offer to them and they say no. What a letdown. So you want to make sure that you are able to see not only are we doing all this work along the way, but people are accepting our offers at a high rate. That's very powerful work. And that does not happen everywhere. So you want to make sure you're keeping a finger on the pulse to know what's happening in your company. Again, so you can talk about maybe if all of a sudden your offer acceptance rate starts to tank, maybe that's your signal that your rates are not competitive. If that's your signal that your benefits are not competitive. Because not only do you need to know that they're saying no, but get feedback from them. Why are they saying no? Is it the pay? Is it the hours? Is it the benefits? Find out because you need to know what you need to improve. Non HR leaders don't think about tracking all these things, and it's not their job to, it's your job to. So if you're not tracking the things around the work that you're doing, if you're not tracking the success of your work and know how effective you are and all those things, it is your responsibility. If you are a department manager for the first time, if you're leading a department, if you are a member of a team, if you're in charge of a responsibility, you need to track your data because doing this work is actionable, it's measurable, it makes you look more business savvy because again, you're looking at not only what are you doing, but why is this work so important? If walking through these metrics make you realize that you really need stronger clarity, better structure, and more confidence communicating your HR impact, that's exactly what we do inside of the HR Leadership Accelerator program. Because it's not just about tracking numbers just for numbers' sake. It's about using the data to tell a story that leadership cannot ignore. When you're ready to elevate your HR career, I would love to support you. Comment down below the words HR career success, and I'll send you a link to book a one-on-one call with me. We can talk about where you are in your career, what your goals are, where you want to go, and how to fill in those gaps. Data only works if you know how to communicate it clearly. Metrics don't create influence. Your ability to communicate them does. In the next video, we're going to break down how to improve your communication skills as an HR manager, especially when talking to leaders who don't understand HR. I'll see you there.